I am the daughter of a long line of feminists, and for years that was something I was very proud of. I remember being a little girl and somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, are you going to marry a doctor someday?" And my mother just snapped at this person and said, "She's going to be a doctor. She's not going to marry a doctor." And so that, I was just raised in a world of religious skepticism and feminism. And my mom was a hard worker. I just thought that was terrific. And I couldn't imagine a God, at that point I was an unbeliever, but imagining a God, I couldn't imagine a God who didn't value that, who didn't value the fact that men and women, this is what I believed at the time. I just believed that men and women were interchangeable. But it was more than that. Not only did I think feminism made sense, I believed that feminism was a corrective to what ailed the world, especially around issues of abuse and neglect, and also denying women the opportunities for educational advancement. I was very, very confident that a world without feminism was a world that was absolutely dangerous for women and for men and for children. And so for me, it was almost with a religious zeal that I approached my role as a feminist professor and as a feminist in the world. When I became a Christian, there were many, many things in the Bible that surprised me. In fact, the whole Bible was a bit of a shock to my system. But the first is in the very beginning of Genesis 1:27. I thought being made in the image of God meant that everybody had inherent dignity and worth as they were, just as they were. And in talking with Ken and Floy Smith about this one day, they helped me make this distinction between being made in the image of God and being made as the image of God. And I'm an English professor, so I'm nerdy. I happen to like those little there's a preposition that makes things different. Okay, I can get on board with this. But I was curious about what they meant because, they said, well, look back at this verse, Rosaria. It's being made in the image of God as men or as women. In other words, your image bearing is connected to the idea that men and women are not interchangeable. And I thought, well, that sounds really scary. I don't think I like that. I don't think I like that at all. I think women are going to get the short end of this. And Floy recommended that I just start to spend some time in the houses of the women who are homemakers. That I just go and offer a friendly hand, that I offer to hold a baby or to make a meal or to fold some laundry. And I just get to see how these people actually live. And I know this might sound crazy, but there's nothing in my life that prepared me to see a Christian family working in the harmony of biblical patriarchy. And I would love to say that my first, the first time I went to somebody's house and I saw the harmony and I said to myself, oh, I want this. This is wonderful. Not at all. Not at all. I didn't even understand what I was seeing, but I was noticing some things about the way that, what we would call complementarity, the way that men and women were working differently and together. And it was compelling. And so I started to pray a scary prayer, really. I started to pray that the Lord would make me a godly woman and that I would understand what my role is and what the role of feminism is, if any. And so I just put it all out there for the Lord. And at this point, I was a single woman. I was still struggling with homosexual desires that I knew were sinful, but that, they still dogged me. I was not, I would say, in an easy place in life. But I just really wanted to know what God's truth was on this subject. And it seemed clear to me that there is a difference between the evil patriarchy of male oppression and rape and violence and the biblical patriarchy of church membership and husbands covering and caring for their wives and wives having the time to take care of their children. And so I came to believe that the feminist attack against men and babies was actually a pretty dangerous sin. And it's not like I woke up one day and decided that all men were good. I mean, even the Bible says men are not good. No man is good. We are all, in fact, filled with sin. But the godly men who are there to keep the wolves at bay, I realized I wanted that. And that's what's good for the church.